quiet quitting.
Yeah.
You've been talking a lot about this on your show. What's the heart behind all of this?
Well, it's nothing new, George. It's just average, do the bare minimum so that I can get by and keep collecting a paycheck. But it is a new phenomenon in that the phrase quiet quitting kind of blew up on TikTok, and now it's made it into mainstream media. And now really has become a social term that everybody understands. And really it was the younger generation kind of saying, hey, I'm tired of this, or I'm tired of that. Could have been a whole host of things. And largely leaders are responsible for this. Is there some snowflakery going on? Yes. But it's also not a new phenomenon, and I'll give you the data on this. For at least the last decade, and probably longer, Gallup comes out with a survey every year, the state of work. And again, year after year after year, the numbers come back that 68% of American workers are disengaged. Now, Gallup's very clear to point out that disengaged doesn't mean they hate their job. It just means they're disengaged. They are literally on cruise control.
Punching the clock,
doing the bare minimum so they don't get fired. Thus, quiet quitting is not a new phenomenon. It is a new term, and it is maybe a new idea to younger workers, but not a new situation. And so as a leader, the reason we talk about this here in EntreLeadership is you need to be aware that now what has happened is this phrase has now made this average coasting honorable. And that's the troubling thing, is that not a new phenomenon, but now
it's a badge of honor to do it.
It's like, well, they don't treat me well, and I'm not going to get burnt out, and I'm not going to overwork myself. Again, all good themes, good things to say. But the response to I'm not going to do that is not to just slough off and accept a life of average. Because if you're saying that I'm going to be a quiet quitter, you are essentially saying I'm going to embrace average.
Well, a lot of this is kind of, they're trying to stick it to the man. They're upset about wages.
Absolutely.
They're upset about some toxic leadership and cultures and, being overworked and undervalued. And some of these motives are good motives. But what you're saying is the tactics they're using to combat this is not going to get anyone anywhere.
No, it's not. But the issue, again, is on leaders. And it's not on leaders to go, oh, these snowflakes, these millennials, these Gen Zers, which is what the typical response is from a weak leader. A disengaged leader. An engaged leader is going to go, okay, this is the reality.
They lean into it.
And we go, okay, now what happens? And so the leadership response is to ask yourself, am I, with the team that I lead, or am I, as the leader of the company, doing a good job of meeting the human needs of my team? I talked about this at my summit talk this past May. If you have access to it, go back and watch it. If you've never seen it and you have access to it, watch it. But we talked about the rules of engagement, but really the 6 rules of engagement that I spoke on were all towards meeting the 3 human needs that Gallup discovered in the largest study on employee engagement ever done. And they were 3 very simple needs. Number 1, every person that works, we can't forget they're human, and thus they want to see meaning and purpose in their work. In other words, they want to see how their work matters to you as leaders and to the customer. And then they want to go, oh, I'm also doing work that I actually care deeply about. It's a values connection. 2, they want to be recognized for their unique contribution. Good job, George. I got to tell you something. You've really been crushing it on those interviews. And I know, the audience doesn't know this, but I know how much prep you're doing. And that is phenomenal. That's a private conversation and maybe praising you in front of the entire team. That's the idea of the unique recognition of the unique contribution. And then the third thing is people want to make sure that they have a relationship with their leader. Beyond the boss. So there's the initial relationship is I have to do what you say or I'm gone. All right? That's not a relationship. That's an obligation. They want a relationship with their leader. This was a fascinating finding for me. They want that mentor type relationship, a coach relationship. And really, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the first 2 needs, meaning and purpose, and then recognition for my unique contribution. Well, that speaks to my leader is aware of who I am and where I should be on the bus. And my leader sees me, knows me, cares for me. And so we have to understand those 3 human needs. If you understand that people need those needs met, and then you look to meet them specifically, then I think you're going to find a lot more people who are not quiet quitting that work for you. Because the quiet quitting is, I just don't see why I should give above and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why. They're not engaged. And the reason they're not engaged, those three needs are not being met.
Well, and at the root here, leaders have to understand that the workplace culture has changed. My parents' generation, they weren't out there looking for all of this meaning and purpose and recognition and relationship. It was, can you get a job? Can you make ends meet, survive? Well, now we're shifting to this kind of culture that wants to thrive instead of just survive.
That's correct.
And that's where all this is coming from. And the older generations, seems like they have a harder time grasping this. They're going, I don't understand. I gave you a paycheck for doing a job, so show up and do the job and don't ask for anything more. But what you're saying is leaders need to go above and beyond and lean in, create these relationships, show them how their work has meaning, and really value them on a recognition level, on a personal level.
Yeah, because here's what's going to happen. Engagement from the individual is going to go up. And then as engagement goes up, productivity goes up. As productivity goes up, profitability goes up. So, I mean, this isn't just some sort of kumbaya suggestion for me.
This creates business results.
Yeah, this is about profits. People create profits, not strategies. You can have all the great strategies in the world. Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And he was right.